I am joined in the studio by Lorne Castle, a dismissed police constable after 9 years of distinguished service. Lorne, welcome to the studio. This is somebody who's been a commended officer, twice been commended for saving the lives of members of the public, indeed in one case putting his own safety at risk to rescue a woman from being swept away in a flooded river. But what happened in this particular incident was there was a 15-year-old youth who was wanted in connection with an assault on an elderly member of the public in Bournemouth and was suspected of being part of a gang attack at a McDonald's restaurant. He was arrested by Lorne Castle. As this happened, a knife fell out of his pocket. Subsequently, all charges against the boy were dropped, both for the assaults and for carrying a knife. But there is a piece of footage of Lorne Castle tackling this youth, and this is something that Dorset Police want you to see, because they think this proves that this particular officer acted in a way that was completely over the top. I'm going to show you this footage. If you're feeling a bit fragile, perhaps turn away.
You're under arrest! Look, you're under arrest! Look! Get on the floor! Get down on now! Get down on the floor! Now! You're under arrest at the moment on suspicion of assault! Assault?
So, as a result of all of this, at a hearing last Thursday, Lorne Castle has been found guilty of serious, gross breaches of professional conduct and sacked. The footage that we've just shown, which actually was put out after this programme spoke to Dorset Police, they believe that shows your guilt, that you acted in a way that was over the top. So tell us a bit about the circumstances.
Yeah, it was the end of a shift. Responded to a call that was, in my opinion, sounded obviously quite urgent. The facts were as you said.
Yep.
Noticed the offender, did a dynamic risk assessment and responded exactly as the video shows. The intention was to arrest a potentially violent subject without any injuries and to make sure it's safe. The result was the suspect was arrested, there were no injuries, there was no complaint, and also a knife was removed from the street.
Yeah.
So that is really
I mean, the context of this, so you were on your own?
No, I was with another colleague.
One other
was
colleague.
in the car. That's whose video footage you can see.
Yeah, yeah. And the boy wasn't on his own, was he?
No.
Because that video shows a slightly different story. He was there part of, I mean, how many were there?
I don't know. There was at least two, there was three walking up the street. But once we were on the ground, I did become aware, my peripheral vision, there were others, and there's a witness statement who verifies that as well. Like I say, it's not a nice situation to be in ever, and I'm sure a lot of officers have been in that situation, which is why I'm here now, because any mistake, pause, hesitation can have dramatic results. So I can't really talk about the incident, but that's what I'm concerned about. For every officer that goes out there and looks at doing this sort of...
Because it's a fairly stat decision you have to make, isn't it?
Yes.
You know, you see a situation, you've got a few seconds to make your mind up. Is this a broader problem? I mean, we've had before, over the months in this studio, we've had people who have been former firearms officers, really worried that what they do in a split decision, can effectively ruin them professionally. And is recruitment to the police going to become a problem if people think whatever they're doing, if something that happens in 5 or 10 seconds could end their career?
I can't really comment on that, but what I will say is I know I made that split decision with no ill intent. My intention was good, which is why I've maintained my innocence and my dignity throughout it all, because I know my own mindset. Now, the fear that this is going to send through anyone, and even myself, depending what happens, if anything I do where I know my decision-making is good, could be analysed by somebody almost like a sport, armchair critiquing it down the line, sitting there going, well, I wouldn't have done that, you could have done that. And then a year and a half down the line, asked to expand fully on it, it's going to make you pause. And whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I think that's something that needs to be looked at. Because if you've got officers that maybe might not make the right decisions in those circumstances, then maybe there's something wrong with the recruitment on the way in.
Yeah. But there was a witness to all of this. This is the bit I don't understand, that there was an independent witness who saw all of this, and perhaps we can put this up on the screen for our guests to see. You know, I heard a noise which sounded like a shouted command, and I got out of the car to find out what the shouting was about. Across the road, up the hill, on the opposite side outside the Daily Echo offices, I saw a male officer trying to restrain a suspect. I rang the police as I was concerned for the officer. I could see a crowd of 5 or 6 people around him, some with camera phones, yelling at the officer. I believe the officer may have been too busy restraining the suspect to put out a call, as he had his hands full, and that's why I thought I'd call the police. I told the operator that an officer was currently restraining and arresting someone outside the offices, and that they ought to send additional help because a large crowd was beginning to build up. So this is an independent member of the public who described exactly what they saw and was fearful for you, fearful for the situation you were in, not for a 15-year knife-carrying 15-year-old. I mean, has this witness statement been taken account of properly?
The witness statement was read out in my hearing.
Yeah.
But I don't think it carried any weight, unfortunately. But for my personal heart of hearts, it made me realise, yes, everything I could see out of my peripheral vision, everything there, my risk assessment was right. Yeah. And you know, without a member of the public phoning in to actually do that at the time, which they did, it was on the call log, then, you know, you're subject to whatever anyone decides to watch your body worn and then analyse that my whole career could rest on that one statement. So I'm so thankful for him to phone in, or her to phone in, for them to phone in.
But you have got an appeal.
I don't know whether I'm allowed an appeal. I have to wait until one of the regulations comes through as to whether I was dismissed on grounds that I'm allowed to appeal on. So that's why there's certain things I can't say.
This is the gross breaches of professional conduct.
So obviously, once that's come through, I'll see whether I'm allowed to appeal for first off anyway. So I might not even be allowed.
And the impact on you, your family?
You know, I'm 46 years old. Anyone that knows me, I came into policing, like I say, about 9-10 years ago. Prior to that, I was in the sports industry, went to Bournemouth University, did law. I'm known by a lot of people. I've had a confident life. I'm happy, and I get on with people. And the last year and a half since they put me on restricted duties, they put a restriction. I'm not allowed face-to-face contact with people, isolated, fearful of well, I don't know whether I'm going to be able to pay the mortgage and bring money home to see how this goes. I have really held it together. And I just want to say, like I said in the video afterwards, especially the days of a hearing, which were horrendous, and I'm quite a strong, confident character, it could have broken me. But I had such good support, and I really feel out for every officer that's messaged me and said they probably didn't have that and they cracked under pressure. And it is a really hard job. And that's why I'm here. Not just for me, but for everyone. For everyone that wears that uniform, that goes out and does the right job. Yeah. You know, I'm hoping that some good comes of this, even if I don't get any job back or anything.
Lorne, thank you.
Thank you.
For coming in, discussing that with us. I've got a response here from Dorset Police. Police found that he had failed to act with self-control during the incident and didn't treat the boy with courtesy and respect. And this comes from a Deputy Chief Constable, Rachel Farrell. And we go on. I have the utmost respect for the vast majority of officers who have to use force when making an arrest, and to do so appropriately and with professionalism, even when they are exposed to risk and violence.